Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And we got a bit of a big signing here as Austin Mack will sign with the Edmonton Elks. So this was a bit of an interesting one because he had gotten released from the Alouettes. He signs a 2-year deal with the Edmonton Elks. And Edmonton was definitely going to be one of the biggest, like the second he was released from Montreal, firstly, I was shocked to see it happen. I was not expecting a guy like Mack, who had been kind of a key part of the Alouettes. I mean, he had his career year in 2023, the year that they had won the Grey Cup, and he signs a 4-year deal, which for anyone who's a non-quarterback in the CFL.
Oh, I was going to say for a second, I'm like, wait a minute.
That was the deal he signed, which is almost unprecedented in kind of today's day and age in the CFL. And I'm not going to lie, him getting released the way he did it makes it likely that it won't happen again, because he was 2 years into that 4-year deal. Now, keep in mind, collectively amongst those 2 seasons, he played 15 games. And that's got to be the biggest reason why that they decide to do this. Obviously, they have that bonus that they have to give him, and they're not going to because he gets released. But Austin Mack had, from what I've heard, he had apparently moved his family to Montreal for this. It makes sense. Signed a 4-year deal. Oh, yeah. Seemed like that was going to be the way things go. And I can't help but think, Rick, remember how we talked about how the Montreal Alouettes got an F on family treatment? I have to imagine something like this doesn't help that reputation after, of course, he had moved his family there, and now they're going to have to move over to Edmonton. Not a small move from Montreal. I'm not going to lie, like this. So this makes sense in the sense of that with him getting cut from the Alouettes, you then think, okay, where could he go? Well, Edmonton really needs receivers, really needs guys, and he has the clear history with Cody Fajardo. In 2023, that's who he won the Grey Cup with. Did very, very well. Austin Mack with Cody Fajardo, just a natural connection. Works perfectly. So they bring him over, sign him to a 2-year deal. In my opinion, the perfect move for the Elks to make. Now, in my opinion, the Elks need to make a lot more moves regarding some receivers and other positions. Not running backs. Running backs are great. But this was a good one. And I was surprised that he had gotten let go, because the thing was, and this was a kind of a big factor, he was set to receive a $45,000 off-season roster bonus. So Alouette's going to save themselves a lot of money. This, I will say, when I saw this signing, this is kind of what initiated the initial thoughts of the CFL Players Association should really internally have a discussion of there being some sort of clause to prevent this, in the sense of the amount of guys that have been about to receive money that both them and the team agreed to, and the team has pulled the rug out from under them and backed out of a deal that they made to avoid giving players a bonus. In my opinion, it's kind of scummy. I understand why they're doing it, because they can. But if you look at other leagues like the NHL, if a guy is under contract and they want to like essentially cut a guy, like the way a lot of teams do it in the NHL is they do it with what's called a buyout, which is over the course of time, they pay off a certain number remaining of his contract. Now, I'm not saying you have to have that in the CFL, because I think that could be problematic in a league that is not, like, the CFL is a less profitable league than the NHL in that regard. However, in regards to these bonuses, because that's the reason we're seeing a lot of these right now, guys are about to get their bonus, doesn't happen. The CFL should, like the Players Associations, just should really have a conversation about potentially in the next round of negotiations, when the next CBA, collective bargaining agreement, comes up with the CFL, that if you cut a player less than a month, I would say, maybe you up the timeline to 2 months, month and a half, whatever. Less than a month, less than 30 days before his bonus, I believe the player should be entitled to 50% the value of that bonus. So let's just say, for math's sake, instead of it being a $45,000 bonus, Austin Mack was going to get a $50,000 bonus. In my opinion, if you cut him, he should still get $25,000. And that $25,000 We go on the Alouettes salary cap as well, in the sense of the fact that they're able to just kind of cut guys just out of a budget cut and there's no penalty when in other leagues there is, just seems a little bit scummy. And again, like the player gets nothing out of that. So that's just kind of my 2 cents.
Here's my thought first on the whole release thing is, do you think it was more due to his injuries the last 2 years?
I think so, yeah.
Because if he would have had 9 to 1,000 yards, you can bet you he's not getting released.
No, that's true. But here's my thing, and I understand that. But the Alouettes agreed to those terms when they signed him. So what I'm saying is, if the Alouettes agreed to those terms, not that there shouldn't be any way for the Alouettes to pull out of the deal and cut a guy, fair enough. I'm saying there should be some sort of financial penalty. And I think at least having those bonuses, they have to give 50% the value of a bonus. Because keep in mind, $50,000, unless you're a quarterback or a huge name player, it will never be above $50K. Like a lot of times a bonus is like $20,000 for a lot of guys. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're giving the player that much. You're not losing much money on cutting a guy in his bonus. I'm not even saying 100% the value of the bonus. I'm just saying 50%. I think that's more than fair. And so, but I think that type of cut is dangerous in a league that really could use some stability in terms of players sticking with teams, longer term contracts. When you cut guys halfway through one of the few long-term contracts you see, you're disincentivizing players wanting to sign long-term. I understand why the Alouettes did it, but there are problems that come with that. So that's all I'm saying. But all in all, I think he's an incredibly talented player. When I think about it just from a Bomber fan perspective, Austin Mack is a player that has caused my team nightmares. He has. Numerous times. Him and Tyson Philpott.
Okay, so we're going to bring... I know this is Austin Mack video, but same team and everything. Let's just call the kettle black where it is. This was the biggest... worst kept secret ever. Look at Trey Ford. Trey Ford was owed $200,000 and he got released. Edmonton should have to be paying $100K then.
Yep. You bet your ass. Absolutely. And the thing is, if they don't like that, they signed the contract with Trey Ford. They agreed to those terms. If you agree to the terms and you want to pull out, it is you who should face some form of penalty. I think that is more than fair.
The only thing that I will say against this, which isn't a bad thing or anything,
okay,
is that you will have, if you did this, you'll have less teams signing players to longer deals than you'll have assigning them to small deals.
I don't think so, because we're talking about just the bonuses. I'm not talking about standard salary where there's a buyout over the portion of that salary. I'm only talking about bonuses that in most cases will cost teams what, 10, 20,000? That's it.
No, but this is what there is more to it.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think that you'll start to see people get the contracts that they'll want because teams will be hesitant to pay them the signing bonus. So even if you get a 2-year deal, players probably won't get the money that they'll want because teams won't want to fork out that money for the signing bonus.
That's where that will depend on the salary cap and all that.
What's that?
That's where I think that's more affected by salary cap than that would be by this potential clause in the contract.
No. But what I'm saying is, okay, we'll use the whole Austin Mack thing as an example. Okay, when Austin Mack got that 4-year contract back then, if they had that signing bonus back then, or sorry, not Austin Mack, I meant Trey Ford, sorry. If You go to sign Trey Ford to that new 3-year deal or whatever it was that they offered him the $200,000 for. Are you Trey Ford and sign that deal, or do you say, screw you guys, I'm going to sign elsewhere?
I think realistically, he would have made the same amount of money. The structure of the contract might be slightly different in the sense of it may have been less on the signing bonus and more on the marketing money, or less on the signing bonus and more on the base salary. I think you might see, I don't think players would make less money. I think you would just see the money shift to different spots of that contract.
So then here's the other thing is, okay, we'll use that example. But then
I'd argue the player still ends up with more money though than they would.
But then you have the people that because we were talking about in the video of the grades. Players weren't getting paid the marketing money or the appearance at the rate that they should. So either in the end, players would still get screwed either way.
Potentially. I will say, regardless of if a player may get screwed another way, in my opinion, that's not enough excuse to do nothing. That would be just my argument for that. I understand that it doesn't fix the situation and you may have another problem then. I say deal with it on a case-by-case basis. I see this as a problem right now. Deal with this. Will you maybe see a causality of that? Potentially. Deal with that then. And that's how you work through things. You know what I mean? You see a problem, you fix one problem, you see another problem pop up, you fix that one. That is how the CBA has been formed over time. You know what I mean? And so in my opinion, this would be no different. The risk that there may
like another Ed Harvey way.
You know. But I think they need to do something about that because I think it's kind of scummy, if you ask me. But it is what it is. All in all, though, this is an Austin Mack video. Although this information is relevant to Austin Mack and his situation. In my opinion, this is a fantastic signing for the Alouettes. Edmonton Elks. Not for the Alouettes. They cut him. That's their fault. But fantastic signing for the Edmonton Elks as they desperately needed a good receiver. They got one right here in Austin Mack. Is there anything else you got there, Rick?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you guys leave a like, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you guys haven't, make sure you guys join our Discord. Link in the description below to our Discord where we discuss all things CFL, NHL, all sorts of sports stuff. So make sure you guys go there, keep the conversation going. And before we get going, Rick, you have some news to talk about regarding CFL free agency live stream over on Hamilton Sports Central.
Yeah, so on February 10th, we're going to be breaking down all the signings from across the league, as well as rumors, because if they're not official, then they are rumors. We have coaching changes. We have retired tab, which will have retirees and also players down in the NFL. We have obviously our free agent tracker of who's still available out there. We have our draft. We have roster predictions. We even have the draft combine information and prospects of who will be attending this year's draft combine.
So got a lot of information all being discussed over on that live stream. So make sure you guys check that out. We'll see you guys next time.